Good morning friends. Today we are going to talk about the movements of gastrointestinal tract. In this we will talk about the movements of stomach, movements of small intestine, movements of large intestine. So first coming to the movements of stomach. And the activity of the smooth muscle of the stomach increase during gastric digestion, that is when the stomach is filled with food, and the activity also increases when the stomach is empty. That means the movements in the stomach occurs both when the stomach is empty and also when the stomach is filled with food. And there are three types of movements that occur in the stomach. They are hunger contractions, receptive relaxation, and peristalsis. And these hunger contractions are of three types: type 1, type 2 and type 3. Hunger contractions are the movements of the empty stomach. These contractions are related to the sensations of hunger. As the name indicates, these contractions occur when the stomach is empty. Hunger contractions are the peristaltic waves superimposed over the contractions of gastric smooth muscle. And this type of peristaltic wave is different from the digestive peristaltic wave. And the digestive peristaltic contractions usually occur in the body and the pyloric part of the stomach. But peristaltic contractions of empty stomach involves the entire stomach. So you can differentiate between the contractions of hunger and contractions of digestion. The digestive peristaltic contractions, they usually involve only the body and the pyloric part of the stomach, whereas peristaltic contractions of the empty stomach involves the entire body of the stomach. So hunger contractions involves the entire body of the stomach, whereas digestive contractions or digestive peristaltic contractions involves only the fundus and the pylorus of the stomach. And hunger contractions are of three types: type 1, 2 and 3. Type 1 contractions are the first contractions to appear in the empty stomach when the tone of the gastric muscle is low, and each contraction lasts for about 20 seconds. Type 1 contractions, it lasts about 20 seconds, and this occurs when the tone of the gastric muscle is low, and the interval between the contractions is about 3 to 4 seconds. Interval is between 3 to 4 seconds, and the tone of the muscle does not increase between the contractions. So these are the features of the type 1 hunger contractions. Coming to type 2. Type 2 contractions appear when the tone is increased. Type 2 contractions will occur when the tone is increased. And tone increases in the stomach if food intake is postponed even after the appearance of type 1 contractions. Type 1 contractions are the indication for hunger. So even after getting the type 1 contractions, that means even if we are feeling hungry and if we don't take food, then it will lead to the type 2 contractions. and here each contraction lasts for about same 20 seconds, but the pause between the contractions is decreased. Here it was 3 to 4 seconds, isn't it? So here it is much less, around 1 to 2 seconds. And these are stronger contractions than type 1 contraction, and they produce a pressure of around 10 to 15 centimeters of water. So these are the characteristic of type 2 contractions. Then coming to type 3 contractions. They are like incomplete tetanus. That means these contractions appear when the hunger becomes severe and the tone increases to greater extent. That means the severity of the hunger increases. And type 3 contractions are rare in man as the food is taken usually before the appearance of these contractions. Usually once the second type of contractions occur, food is taken by the person. So these type 3 contractions are rarely seen. If at all seen, they last for around 1 to 5 minutes. And they exert a pressure of around 10 to 20 centimeters of water. That means more than the type 2 contractions. So hunger contractions are of 3 types, 1, 2 and 3, depending upon the severity of hunger. If initially after the appearance of the type 1 contractions, if food is taken, then you will not see type 2 contractions. Even after the appearance of type 1 contractions, if food is not taken, then it will lead to type 2 contractions. And even after the appearance of type 2 contractions, even then if food is not taken, then only you will see the type 3 contractions. Now receptive relaxation. It is a relaxation of the upper portion of the stomach when the bolus enters the stomach from the esophagus. From the esophagus, as soon as the food enters into the stomach relaxes, the upper portion of the stomach relaxes. That is called receptive relaxation. It involves the fundus and upper part of the stomach. Its significance is to accommodate the food easily without much increase in pressure inside the stomach. So, without much increase in the pressure, food has to be accommodated in the stomach. That is the reason the upper part of the stomach relaxes, so that it can accommodate all the food coming from the esophagus without increase in the pressure inside the stomach. That is receptive relaxation. Then coming to peristalsis. When the food enters the stomach, the peristaltic contractions or the peristaltic wave appears with a frequency of 3 per minute. So peristalsis occur with a frequency of 3 per minute, 3 waves per minute. And it starts from the lower part of the body of stomach, passes through the pylorus till the pyloric sphincter. It starts at the lower part of the stomach, passes to the pylorus up to the pyloric sphincter. And this type of peristaltic contraction is called digestive peristalsis, because in stomach also some part of digestion will occur, isn't it? So this peristalsis, this type of peristalsis is also known as digestive peristalsis, since it is responsible for grinding of the food particles and mixing them with the gastric juice for digestive activities. So this is about the movements of the stomach: hunger contraction, receptive relaxation and peristalsis. Then coming to the movements of small intestine. Movements of the small intestine is essential for mixing the chyme with the digestive juices and propulsion of food and also absorption. And here 4 types of movement occur in the small intestine. One is the mixing movement. It can be segmental or pendular. And propulsive movement. Here it is peristaltic movements. And peristalsis in fasting. Here it is migratory motor complex and movement of villi of the intestine. So first coming to the mixing movement. Here segmental contractions or segmentation contractions occur. These are common type of movements of the small intestine which occur regularly or irregularly but in a rhythmic fashion. So these movements are also called rhythmic segmentation contractions. So these are also called rhythmic segmentation contractions. And these contractions occur at regularly spaced intervals along a section of intestine. And the segment of the intestine involved in each contraction is about 1 to 5 centimeters long. And the segments of intestine in between the contracted segments are relaxed. Then after some time the contracted segments are relaxed and the relaxed segments are contracted. See, if this is the small intestine, first some part of the intestine is relaxed and some part is contracted, and again this part is relaxed, that means see this is the relaxed part and this is the contracted part, and when the peristaltic wave is going in the forward direction, then this part will relax and again this part will contract, so that the food which is present in the small intestine is pushed into the relaxed part. Again this is the contracted part, and as the food is reaching this part, then this part will relax and this part will contract. So it will be like this. That means this part will relax and this part will contract, relaxed part will contract and contracted part will relax. That is why it is called segmentation contraction. It is forming a segment, isn't it? And next is the pendular movement. Pendular movement is the sweeping movement of the small intestine resembling the movements of pendulum. Small portions of the intestine sweep forward and backward or upward and downward. It is a type of mixing movement. It helps in mixing of chyme with the digestive juices. Then propulsive movements. Propulsive movements are the movements of small intestine which push the chyme in aboral direction through the intestine. That means away from the oral direction, it is moving towards the intestine. The propulsive movements are the peristaltic movements. The peristalsis is defined as the wave of contraction followed by wave of relaxation of the muscle fibers. In the gastrointestinal tract, it always travels in the aboral direction. Stimulation of the smooth muscles of the intestine initiates the peristalsis. It travels from point of stimulation in both directions. But under normal conditions, the progress of contraction in an oral direction is inhibited quickly and contractions disappear. Only the contraction that travels in the aboral direction persists. So, this is the intestine. So, the peristaltic wave will always, if this is the stomach and esophagus, so the peristaltic wave will always follow the aboral direction, that means away from the mouth. If at all the peristaltic wave occurs in the oral direction, that is inhibited and only the aboral peristaltic wave persists, so that the wave will be in the aboral direction. Then Starling's law of intestine. Here we will talk about the Starling's law of intestine. Depending upon the direction of the peristalsis, the law of intestine was put forth by Starling, that is Starling's law of intestine. According to this law, the response of the intestine for a local stimulus consists of a contraction of smooth muscle above and relaxation below the stimulated area. That means, if this area is stimulated, so that will contract, and the area below the stimulation will relax. And peristaltic contractions start at any part of the intestine and travel towards the anal end at a velocity of 1 to 2 centimeter per second. And peristaltic waves in the small intestine increase to a great extent immediately after a meal. This is because of the gastroenteric reflex, which is initiated by the distension of the stomach. So, this is the propulsive movements, that means the upper part or the stimulated part, or where the chyme is present, that is the stimulated part, isn't it? As soon as the chyme enters this part is stimulated, and the stimulated part will contract, and the other end of the intestine will relax to take this chyme inside, and now the chyme is here. So, the area present above the chyme will contract, so that this chyme is pushed forward, and the lower part is relaxed, so that it can take the chyme which is being pushed from above. So, that is the Starling's law of intestine. That means the stimulated end will contract, the area below the stimulated end will relax. See, this is the intestine and the chyme is present here. Once the chyme enters here, that means this area is stimulated. This stimulated area will be contracting, that means it will contract and it will push this chyme inside. Then the the end which is present below the stimulated area, that will relax, so that it can accommodate the chyme which is coming from above downwards. Then peristalsis in fasting. Here we will talk about the migratory or migrating motor complex. It is a type of peristaltic contraction which occurs in the stomach and small intestine during periods of fasting for several hours. It is also called migratory myoelectric complex. Migrating myoelectric complex or migratory motor complex. It is different from the regular peristalsis because a large portion of stomach or intestine is involved in the contraction. The contraction extends to about 20 to 30 centimeters of the stomach or intestine, and this type of movement occurs once in every 1.5 to 2 hours. It starts as a moderately active peristalsis in the body of the stomach and runs through the entire length of the small intestine. It occurs in an interval of 1.5 to 2 hours. That means after taking meal, once all the food is being pushed up to the small intestine, again a wave of peristalsis, a peristaltic wave will occur that will sweep all the contents of the stomach and small intestine into the large intestine. It is a sweeping peristalsis, peristaltic movement, that is migratory myoelectric complex or migratory motor complex. That means once the chyme enters the small intestine, again another peristaltic wave will start from the stomach up to the small intestine, so that whatever the amount of chyme or amount of food particles present in the stomach and the small intestine are swept into the large intestine. So it sweeps the excess digestive secretions into the colon and also prevents accumulation of secretions in the stomach and intestine, and it sweeps the residual and indigested material into the colon, and also whatever the amount of digestive juices present or leftover digestive secretions are swept with this peristaltic wave from the stomach and small intestine into the colon. It is a sweeping movement. Then movement of the villi. Intestinal villi also show movement simultaneously along with the intestinal movements. It is because of the extension of the smooth muscle fibers of the intestinal wall into the villi. Intestine is lined by villi, finger-like projections. These also move because some amount of smooth muscle is also present in the villi. And the movement of villi are shortening and elongation which occurs alternatively and help in emptying the lymph from the central lacteal into the lymphatic system. And the surface area of the villi is increased during elongation. This helps absorption of the digested food particles from the lumen of the intestine. And these movements of the villi are caused by local nervous reflexes, which are initiated by the presence of chyme in the small intestine. So this is about the movements in the small intestine. Now coming to the movements in the large intestine. Usually the large intestine shows sluggish movements, but still these movements are important for mixing, propulsive and absorptive functions. So these are important for mixing, propulsive and for absorption. And these movements in the large intestine are of two types. One is mixing movement or segmentation contractions, and another movement is propulsive movements or mass peristalsis. So mixing movement, large circular constrictions which appear in the colon are called mixing segmentation contractions. These contractions occur at regular distance in the colon, and length of the portion of colon involved in each contraction is nearly about 2.5 centimeters. And lastly, the propulsive or mass peristalsis. Mass peristalsis or mass movement propels the feces from the colon towards the anus. Usually this movement occurs only a few times every day. Duration of the mass movement is about 10 minutes in the morning before or after breakfast. This is because of the neurogenic factors like gastrocolic reflex, and it is also due to parasympathetic stimulation. So these are the movements that occur in the large intestine. Usually these movements are for emptying of the colon. That means the feces is propelled, or by this movement the feces is propelled from the colon towards the anus. And this, as soon as the feces is pushed from the large intestine into the towards the anus, the defecation reflex is initiated. So this is about the movements of the gastrointestinal tract. We talked about the movements of stomach, movements in the small intestine and movements in the large intestine. And your assignment for this class is, you write about or write what is migratory motor complex. So that is the assignment for today's class. You write about the migratory motor complex. That's all for today's class. Thank you.